Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Trinity, and this is Tales and Tea with Trinity. I want to start off with a Bible verse like we do every video. Let me get my little Bible here. The verse that I want to read is in Psalms. Okay, it's Psalms 97, verse 6. The heavens proclaim his righteousness, and all the people see his glory. All worshippers of images are put to shame, who make their boast in worthless idols. Worship him. I think that verse just really highlights the sovereignty of God and how he really just is the highest of highs. He's the King of kings and the Lord of lords. Like, no one else is as powerful as him, is as worthy as him. And I think that's just really beautiful. Let's hop into the video. So I want to walk you guys through the books that got me into reading as an adult. These books, I wouldn't necessarily, some of them I probably wouldn't read now. They got me back into reading as an adult. I did read in middle school, and I was like the reader. And I don't know, I just got away from it in high school. I was in band, I was in color guard, like I was just doing all the things. I didn't have time for reading. I started doing school online, and so I had like a little bit more time because I wasn't going in person. And it's spring break of this year in March, I sat down, and one of my friends, she was like, this series is so good. So I was like, okay, well, let me get it. And me, the genius that I am, bought all 5 books in the series. March, Trinity didn't even realize that this was going to be the thing that it is now. And I was like, yeah, let me just spend $80 and buy books that I'm not even sure that I'm going to like. This series got me back into reading. And since I picked up this book, I've not put another book down, okay? Are y'all ready? I don't think you're ready. I really don't think you're ready. 3, 2. I know what you're thinking. Trinity. But this is a good book, okay? Nobody could tell me this is not a good book, okay? And it got me into reading. It did. It really did. I read all 5 books during the week of spring break. So if you've read the books, you know how thick they are. You know how big they are. And your girl read all 5 of them. All 5 of them in the week of spring break.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the YouTube channel. Today we're talking about books I wish I could reread. ACOTAR.
That's definitely not what we're talking about. Books that got me into reading.
Books that got me into reading 2025 edition. Number 1. ACOTAR.
But yes. So I literally ate this up. And this was the first fantasy book that I had read. This is the first book, period, I've read since I was like 14. I was so intrigued. I was just devouring this book. It was just so good. I'm gonna be honest. I was a Tamlin stan, okay? But mind you, have some grace, okay? Because I didn't realize what I was getting myself into. I just thought this was a fantasy book and that had some romance in it. And so I was a Tamlin stan. I had never read like anything like this before. So I just assumed Tamlin was the guy. Like, he was it. And then we get to this bad boy. This chunk of a book. And I kid you not, I got through probably the first chapter. I don't know, maybe the second chapter, when I realized that Tamlin wasn't it for her. Wherever that happens. I was like, I cannot finish this book. I literally told my husband, I was like, I'm not going to finish this book if she doesn't end up with Tamlin. Like, I'm just not. And I literally had to look up on YouTube the audiobook so that I could listen to it and read at the same time, because my eyes literally would not read on their own. I was so hurt about the fact that her and Tamlin were not going to be together. And I had to listen and force myself to read, like, I don't know, probably a quarter of this book before I was actually convinced that this book was good. After that quarter was done, oh baby, I was eating it up, just like I was with the first book. And no crumbs were being left. No crumbs were being left. Okay. I will have to say that this is my favorite of the 5. And I didn't stutter. Okay? This is the best of the 5. The things that happen in this book are unlike any other. Truly unlike any other. And at this point, by the time that I finished this book, I was like, I want to do this for the rest of my life. Like, there's nothing like reading a fantasy book. Reading something that I could never do, that is not even real. Like, I was like, I literally want to do this for the rest of my life. To be honest, in my personal opinion, the series could have ended right here. Sarah, she could have quit writing right here. She didn't have to keep going. In my personal opinion, like, that was it. Like, if I ever reread this series, I'll stop here. And I did not stutter. This book was cute. Like, I ate it up. Like, it was the cutest novella ever. No, it was the first novella I've ever read. So, there's not a lot to compare it to, because the first of everything is just the best. The first of everything, like, you can never get that back. Like, experiencing it for the first time. It was cute, and it wasn't necessary, but I enjoyed the fact that she did create it, if that makes sense. Like, it wasn't necessary, but I'm glad that it exists, if y'all are picking up what I'm putting down. I would never read this now. I'm going to be honest. I would. Please hear me. I've been delivered since reading this book. Okay? I am not the girl that I was. But I loved this book when I read it. The things that are written in this book, I fear, I felt things reading this book that you should only feel when you are married, and you should only feel them with your husband. To feel it with something different, and I could control it, and it was something that nobody else knew about, and it was secretive, and it was just me and the words on the page, and there was just something alluring about it. I devoured this book in March, but now I would never pick it up. Hear me when I say that. The Lord, praise God, because the Lord delivered me. If you know what is in this book, and you have also been delivered from this, from the things that are in this book, then you know too. And if you've never read this book, please don't. Okay? Please don't read this book. You don't need it. Okay? The first 3 books, they wrap up perfectly. Okay? The 4th book has some stuff in it that you don't need to read either. Okay? But, again, I was just getting into reading. I was soaking up everything that I was reading. I didn't know that what I was reading was inherently wrong. Thankfully, the Holy Spirit convicted me later. I'm just taking you through my story, okay? I'm just taking you through what I did to start getting into my reading journey. What I did. I'm just telling y'all, okay? This is a story and a testimony, okay? Y'all hear me now? Now, I have a few different series that I'm going to go through. I like to read the whole series when I start a book. If that book is in a series, I'm going to read the whole series. I'm not going to skip around. I know some people do that. Not me. I want to know the whole story. The whole story. I don't love to start books that aren't finished. Then I'm like incomplete. I'm lacking. My heart isn't full. Where was I going with that? Jesus will make you whole. Sorry. That's not where I was going with that. So when I think of these different series, I really just think of them as one big book, one big story. So I'm going through a bunch of different, like a lot of books, like this is an excessive amount of books that I'm about to go through with you all. But I need you to understand that in my mind, I think of them as one book. But also, hear me when I say that I read those 5 books in a week. Okay? A week. How many weeks are in a year? 52? I've not even been reading for a whole year yet. Okay? But I've read 80 books. Almost 80 books at this point. I'm about to go through a lot of books, but in my mind, it's all one book. And in my mind, I went through them so fast that it really takes a while to get that habit of reading going. So the books that I'm going through are going to be a lot, but it really was only in a very short amount of time. So when I got done reading ACOTAR, I was honestly on the top of the world. I was like, please, I want to do this for fun. Like, forever. My favorite movie is a book. And I've had said book for years. Okay, like my mom gave me the books because she read them, because she got them when the movies first came out. In 2009. So these books are old, okay? But I knew that I loved the movie, and I watched the movie several times a year, okay? Several times. Just in October of this year, I watched this series of movies 4 times. Don't come at me. I don't know why I like it. I know it's cringy. I know the quality's bad. I know. Don't ask me why I like it. I just do. Okay? I feel like there are no words for this. I like what I like. I like what I like. And I ate her up. Bella is portrayed in the movie very well. And I just don't know how to make this Bella translate into my mind. I don't know. But I like the book definitely better than the movie. But I also love the movie by itself. Like, I feel like the movies and the books are completely different. I don't consider them the same thing in my mind. Like, I know that the movies are based off of the books. But in my mind, they're not connected in any way. I liked this completely differently than I like the movies. However, I don't know how that makes sense, but that makes sense in my mind. So, I ate this up. I'm not even playing with y'all. I literally ate this up. The relationship that Bella and Jacob have in this book is so much better explained than it is in the movies. Because, I mean, it's a movie. Like, there's only so much that they can portray in the 2 hours that they're allotted, versus an audiobook of this would be like probably 20 hours. You know, they have to fit that into a 2-hour movie. But this just breaks it down so much better. And so the things that just randomly happen in the New Moon movie are now making sense now that I'm understanding it through the book. So I loved that aspect as well. When Alice thought that she offed herself, I was just like, why did you just randomly decide to go to the cliff that day? But in this book, they explain her and Jacob were planning to go to the cliff, but he was late, so she just went anyway. We didn't get that in the movie. Eclipse. Oh, honey. Eclipse is just... It's honestly the best because Edward finally comes back. And then, of course, here, we get a new POV. And when I opened it up and realized that this is from a wolf's POV, I was like, oh heck yeah. It makes sense why so much of the last movie is surrounded around Jacob. I never really paid attention to that before reading the books, and I never thought much of it, but seeing that the book has Jacob's POV and understanding that kind of makes a full circle moment. It allows my mind to completely understand everything. When I finished that series, I was like, oh yeah. I was like, ACOTAR was a hit, okay? Twilight was a hit. I was like, what can I read next? At this point in my mind, I was like, every book that I read is going to be good, okay? There's not going to be a bad book. I was getting Bookstagram feed at this point, and I was like, what are these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stars mean? Like, how is somebody rating it 3 stars? Like, every book is 5 stars. Like, I wasn't understanding the rating system at this point. I was just like, everything's good. But I fear, if you do not know what this is, are you okay? Are you okay? I can help you. Just come here. Let me help you. My cat's at my door. I told you not to leave. Come on. Come on. You're going to read a book called Shatter Me. And you will follow a female named Juliet, whose name is not Juliet. And you will find that she falls in love with an Adam, but you will not like Adam. And you will fall in love with a Warner, and you will never find another man like Warner. That is all I have to say. Seriously. And these books are like small compared to... Do we see that comparison? At this point, I have been reading humongous books. I got this book set off Amazon, and I was like, I wanted to make sure that I had all the books because, like I said, I am a girl. I need the whole story. Okay? The whole story. Nothing less. I will not accept. So I bought it, and I was like, these books are so tiny. Like, I'm going to go through them quick. This one went through quick. This one is a little bit bigger. Went through it quick. Unite Me. Went through it quick. Ignite Me. I read that in a day. A day. Ignite Me, I fear is the best. Is the best of these. Restore Me, I was slowing down a little bit. I was like, okay, I'm not understanding what's going on. But I'm going to hold out. because up until this point, every single book I've ever read is good. So maybe I'm just not getting it. Right? I'm just not getting it.
Not getting it. It's not clocking to you.
Defy Me was phenomenal. Find Me, I was like, okay, hang on a second, because why are we getting the best friend's point of view? What is going on? And then we get to Imagine Me. Ignite Me and Imagine Me are both in first place. Like, I can't decide. Because the things that go on in this book wrap up the series. It's wrapping everything up. Everything, all the secrets are being revealed. Everything that you ever had a question about is answered in this book. And then on to Believe Me. And this is a sweet novella that just makes the perfect ending. Now, things go wrong. It's still a good book, and so much happens in so little pages. But when I finished that last page, and I realized that that was the end of Aaron Warner, I was like, what? I think of the whole series as a story. Like, it's just one book. I don't know what happens individually in each book because I just know the whole story. I couldn't tell you what happened in this book and this book and this, but I can tell you the entire story from start to finish. But not individually what happened in each book. It started good and then it slowed down, and I was like, I don't really understand. These are the first books that I'm reading that I'm not loving. And then Imagine Me and Believe Me. I was like, this whole story, understanding the things that I had questions about, understanding just the little random things. I love this story. And then after reading this, finding out that she had a spin-off series coming just a few months later, because at this point it was April when I was reading this, I was like flabbergasted. Now, I still have not read the new series yet because there's only one book out. I need the whole story. So I'm scared that I'm going to read that book and be devastated because I don't have the rest of the story. So at this point in my reading journey, I had spent, $80 or something on ACOTAR, and then I spent like $60 on ChatterMe. And I was like, I don't have any money. What am I going to read? And I was like freaking out, and I was like telling my husband, I was like, I don't know what to read next. Like, and he was like, you literally have books. And I was like, I do not have books. And he was like, you literally have books. And I was like, oh, you're right, I do. I do have a book. Because when I was in middle school, and I was telling y'all, and I was the reader, and I loved reading, I asked my mom for Christmas for the series that was my favorite in middle school, but I have not read since middle school. So I was like, I'm not sure if middle school me and 20-year-old me like the same things. I didn't have anything else to read. I read her anyway. She was pretty good. Okay? The Selection, The Elite, The One, and The Heir is about her daughter. There's some action in it. It's like a dystopian, very, very YA. Very YA. But it was a fun read. Like, I was kicking my feet, giggling. It was a cute little read. And it was enough to satisfy me while I was saving up money to buy more books. If you know what that is, you're a real one. You are a real one. If you know what book this is, based on this right here, you are a real one. But after I finished the Selection series, I picked up my favorite series still to this day. I say still to this day, like been 20 years. But it's been several months. But this showed me what genre that I truly love and enjoy. And it didn't have spice. But it wasn't so YA that I was like, okay, like, I feel like I'm reading a book for a 13-year-old. So, are y'all ready? You're not ready. You're not ready. I have no words for this book. I have no words. No words for this book. Other than it is literally a masterpiece. It is literally a masterpiece. This is the first series that I read where I actually understood the world building. At this point in my reading journey, I was fully on Bookstagram. My Instagram was only Bookstagram. And I was watching these videos and understanding at this point what different genres were and what subgenres were, and to properly rate books, and understanding really what I was doing at this point. And so it wasn't that I was seeing a lot of hype. It was just the hype that I was seeing was so loud and so good that I was like, oh, I definitely need to try this. Because at this point, every book that I read has been the best book I've ever read, right? No, wrong. Because this series is the best I've ever read to this day. To this day. Well, this and another series is tied in first. But we're not going to worry about that right now. Because she is the star of the show at the moment. If you do not know about this book, please go get it, okay? We are following a female character who has no powers in a world where powers are needed to live, okay? If you don't have powers, you were deleted off the earth. So she's been hiding and lying to everybody, keeping it a secret that she has no powers. Somehow or another, she ends up in a trial where they compete for prestigious, okay? So she enters and she forms this odd sort of relationship with the king's sons, both of the sons, okay? Not in the way that you think, because one of them she truly does actually start to like and start to fall in love with. But the other one, the one that is one day going to be king, she joins this rebellion secretly to overthrow the kingdom because she has no powers. But nobody else knows she has no powers, because if anybody knew that she didn't have powers, they would delete her off the earth. So she joins a bunch of other people who don't have powers, who are also hiding, and tries to take over the kingdom. That kind of goes sideways, as you'll see if you read the book, and she goes on the run. Before we get to book 2, there is a novella. This book had me in tears because you know the outcome at the end of the book, because it happened in this book. So you know that the book is going to end in absolute devastation. So you're reading the book willingly knowing that the book only ends in devastation. There's no good ending in this book. There's no good ending. But you read it willingly. And read it did I. It is the FMC in the series. It is her best friend. And what she goes through when our FMC leaves her in the streets to go to the trials to compete. And we see what happens here. It is such a good read. She goes on the run in this book. Okay? She goes on the run and she's hiding. She's running for her life because the brother who she actually started to fall in love with realized that she had no powers. And his job is to delete her. When he finally catches her, there's some tension. And so we get to see that. And this book, riveting. Absolutely riveting. We see the best outcome possible. Literally the best outcome possible of, he's like, no, I'm not going to delete you. I'm going to walk up to my brother, who is now the king, tell him that I'm in love with you. He goes to the king, his brother, and something very strange happened that nobody was expecting. And let's just say, on the very last page, we are aware that there is going to be no happy ending. And then we pick up this book. I remember when this book came out. It came out April the 8th or the 9th, something like that. I had just finished reading this book, and I did not read a single thing for 3 days, because I knew that on April 8th, this book was coming out. I left for work early, and I got to Walmart at 7:30 in the morning when the man was opening up the boxes and putting this book out on the shelves. And it was me, and it was another girl, and we were like looking for the book. And I was like, oh my gosh, are you here for Fearless? And she's like, oh my gosh, yes! And we were like, we don't see it on the bookshelves. And so I like went up to the man that was putting the books on the shelves, and I was like, do you happen to know where Fearless is in these boxes? And he was such a sweet man. He like opened up the box. He like looked in all these different boxes, and finally found it. And we were like, thank you so much. And when I tell you, and I was a little late for work because the man had to go through the boxes, but it was worth it. It was worth it because this book was phenomenal. The best book. There were different POVs. We don't understand why. But then, all of a sudden, we understand why. And the plot twists were twisting, okay? Everything was just happening at a rate that I wasn't comprehending, but I was eating it up anyway. And I wasn't understanding, but I was understanding, but I wasn't understanding, and I would have to go away and comprehend, and then I would come back, and it was just one thing after thing after thing. It was so exciting, and it was just the best. It was a diddly darn good book. That started my reading journey. After that, after Fearless, I realized that I truly am hooked for life. Like, that's it. Like, there's no going back. And so every time I read, I'm like trying to feel the way that I felt when I was reading the Powerless series, because there was nothing like it. And I have felt like that before. And I have. And not every book that I read now is great, and not every book that I read now is good, but I enjoy reading. And it's something that I love to do now. And it just took a couple of good series for me to actually get into it and be okay to continue reading even after I finish a book that's 2 stars. Even after I finish a book that's 1 star. Even after DNFing a book, understanding that I can pick another one up and that book be 5 stars. So, all in all, those series started it all for me. And I'm truly never going back to not reading. I cannot imagine my life without reading in it now. I really can't. I truly cannot. Also, side note, I got this the day it came out as well. But I want to do a reread before I jump into this, because I want to feel all the feels again, and because I want to make sure that I catch all the details, because Lauren has hinted that there were things in this book that tie everything together. So I'm really excited to read that. Hopefully, I will definitely read that in 2026. I would definitely read this in 2026. But I have not read it yet, but I have it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you in the next one.